7:30 on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. I'm going to call the regular council meeting to session. We are meeting virtually this evening via Zoom. Shannon, please call the roll. Okay, you're on mute.
Mr. Benevolent?
I'm here.
Mr. Barr?
I am here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
I'm here.
Mr. Fury?
Here. All right, and please join me for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together, even in this virtual format. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we give our best always. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. All right. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 14th, 2020 meeting. Did everybody have an opportunity to take a look at those minutes? I will address everybody and give everybody an opportunity to speak, just so that we're not speaking over each other. Ms. McFerrin, any comments?
No comments.
Mrs. Stauffer?
No comments.
Mrs. Walker?
No comments.
Mr. Fury?
No, thank you.
Mr. Scafidi?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Barr?
Looks good, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion then to adopt the minutes as submitted. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Barr seconds. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Benevolent?
Yes?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Thank you, Shannon. Minutes from the April 14th, 2020 meeting are approved 7-0. Next up is awards and presentations.
There are none.
Thank you. Next up is audience participation. Shannon?
I do not show any. Mark, can you please confirm?
There are no requests.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up then is council communications and reports. Ms. McFerrin.
Mute.
You're mute.
We had a,
There you go.
am I still muted?
You're good.
Okay. We did have a architectural review board meeting on April 16th. It was a Zoom meeting. We had case 2003-28, 8819 Maryville Drive, new single family dwelling. Brian Holmes was approved. Case 2003-29, 9781 Shepherd Road, an accessory structure was approved. Case 200330, 9614 Ravenna Road, also an accessory structure was approved. Case 200321, 8892 Darrow Road, Heinz Funeral Home sign changes were approved. Case 200432, 2877 Hackett Drive, that was a addition and that was approved. Case 200433, 1581 Bridget Lane, that was a new single family home, that was approved. 200434, 2947 Darlene Court, another new single family homer was approved. Case 200436 was 8811 Maryville Drive, also a new family home, and that was approved. Case 200436, 8888 Maryville Drive, another single family home, that was approved. And then case 200437, 3030 Wyatt's Way, new single family home Pulte, that was approved. And we had two birthdays. Don Spice had a birthday, and so did Marge Cantos. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh,
Ms.
wait.
McFerrin.
So I believe we still have an opening on the Architectural Review Board. Can you confirm that for me, Shannon?
Yes, we still have an opening. We did re-advertise that, and we did not get any new applicants to date.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Next up is Mrs. Stoffer.
My committees have not met. So,
Thank you. Next up, Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Fury.
Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals will have a virtual meeting at 3 p.m. on May 13th to review a fence height request. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you. Good evening. The Planning Commission will be meeting next Monday, May 4th at 3 p.m. Through a virtual meeting. And the next meeting of the Parks and Recreation Committee has been canceled. So there is none this month. And that's all I have tonight. Thanks.
Mr. Barr.
Good evening. Thank you. The Finance Committee has had a few work sessions over the past several weeks to take a look at the impact of COVID-19 on the city finances. Additionally, we do have a meeting with the Auditor of State tomorrow with members of council to discuss the performance audit and get any questions answered as we continue through that process. Finance also has a work session scheduled for later this week, Thursday the 30th in the afternoon. And again, all of these meetings will be held virtually. That's all I have this evening. I know we could do it miscellaneous, but I don't want to forget. I'd just like to say happy birthday to Mr. Fury this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Let's see. We got a note earlier today from Commander Jasny. The Twinsburg VFW Post 4929 will not be conducting a public parade or public memorial service in the city on Monday, May 25th, 2020, due to the pandemic virus. So I suppose that that doesn't come as any shock, but that's always an awesome event. So I very much look forward to its return next year. Also, I just wanted to give, pass along my thoughts. This is difficult on everybody. It continues to be difficult on everybody. I want to thank the entire community for doing their part, for staying home, for doing their social distancing. When I am out and about, I see a lot of masks. I see a lot of people being very kind to one another. I see a lot of people using our parks and facilities and walking around and getting out. And I just think it's really cool. And I just want to thank everybody for staying happy and healthy and safe and hopefully a little bit sane through all of this. To that point, last Monday, there was put together kind of at the last minute, it sounded like a parade to honor the Twinsburg seniors. The parade route kind of went all through the city of Twinsburg, and it was a really it was a pretty special thing. It came directly through my development, and to see nearly 100 cars come through was really pretty cool. And so I'd like to thank the folks who organized that and the people that participated in it, both the seniors as well as the residents of Twinsburg. Chief Noga posted something, I think on Facebook, where he said, just for a minute, Twinsburg kind of felt like Twinsburg. And I thought that was just really cool. And I just wanted to offer my thanks to those folks that were involved in that. Nothing else for me this evening. Mayor Yates.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just always, when we were gone for 2 weeks, a lot has happened at the city. We've continued to monitor COVID-19. We've been in communications with Rita regarding trying to forecast what we can expect over the next month or 3 to 4 months. And so some of the news has not been great. Hopefully it gets better, but we have been having meetings. Last week I met with department heads for a 2-day period, just looking at all different scenarios as it relates to our operations, and just really looking at a full scale of what could happen, from everything getting us back to normal as soon as possible to worst case scenario. So I want to thank them for, I guess, their work, and because I had them prepare a lot of information for me as we went to those planning meetings and looking at where things may go. I'm still optimistic that we're going to get hopefully back to, I don't know if our normal will ever be the same, but get back to something that resembles our normal. But I just want to also reach out to the employees that are displaced. I know this is really challenging for all of them. It's hard on us. We miss seeing everyone. We spend more time with the people we work with than probably our family. So it's difficult when people aren't there. I did prepare a communication to the employees at the end of last week, basically announcing that there's no major changes in our current operations for the next 2 weeks. So we'll meet again around May 6th and reevaluate. I wanted to get through these governor, plan of reopening the state, as well as get into the month of May so we can take a look at our financial advancements on income tax. As mentioned in my communication today, we are extremely dependent on income tax, probably as higher than any community in Ohio, at 85%. So when something like this hits our business district, it significantly impacts our ability to operate. So we have been, I had our economic development director making personal phone calls to all our businesses. So we're trying to get a gauge of where operations are at, where they're going. We'll probably follow up with some of them because some of them have changed now based on some of the reopening of our distribution centers, manufacturing offices in Twinsburg. So I'm still hopeful that we can pull out of this, and hopefully it's a temporary delay in income tax versus a loss for any extended period of time. But we're going to have to work through that. I've been getting a lot since the governor has started its slow reopening. I've been getting a lot of emails and phone calls regarding our city operations. And so I just want to touch base on a number of things, and I'm just going to kind of run through them. Our parks and trails are going to stay open. That's something that I think a lot of residents have enjoyed, probably some that have never experienced them before. And so all that's going to remain open. I still ask people to practice social distancing. I've been walking a lot, and so we see people shifting to one side or the other, or walking out through grass so they can maintain that buffer between the party walking by them. But those are going to remain open. The golf course, as been announced, is going to open this Friday. I think we have put together a plan based on the governor's requirements and recommendations on how to operate a public golf course to make that safe. We have the equipment, we have the disinfecting chemicals. We're going to be one person per cart. We have we're permanently putting in place the pens, so no one will be touching the pens. So we're doing everything that we're supposed to do with the golf course to get it open, and they're working hard this week to prepare for Friday. So that's when that will occur. Our summer camp, we have canceled as of a couple days ago. This was a very difficult decision. I know a lot of families rely on that, and I know it provides a lot of fun and entertainment for our kids. But it has become really challenging to try to. We have 200 plus kids per week at our camp, and probably 100 plus camp counselors that work out throughout the summer, and to try to keep social distancing in place and keep it safe for our camp counselors and the kids participating, we typically provide bus service, which I'm not sure how we would do that. It's going to be really challenging. So we've decided to cancel. We've been in communication with other communities, so we're not the only one that's doing this. I know some are still holding off. Some are completely restricting what they're doing. Some going to a quasi babysitting operation. You know, and we kind of felt it was the sooner that we could announce that, the better it would be, just to allow the kids that we're planning on working the opportunity to find different work, and then also our parents to seek out other options if there are any. This could be a really challenging summer for camps anywhere. So I did want to share about that. The outdoor pool, we have been in communications with other municipalities, with USA Swimming, with people both nationally and in the state on what is going to happen with outdoor pools. Again, it becomes really challenging when if someone is socially distanced standing in a pool, they're safe. The chemicals helps the situation. However, when you start bringing a bunch of kids to a pool that are playing and doing things, it takes us about 3 or 4 weeks to prepare the pool, and you know, it's a significant amount of money also to do it. And so we've held off at this point. There's a lot of municipalities that have no expectation of opening their pools this summer. I haven't gone there yet. I think that I would love to see it opened, even if it was for half a summer, but we'll have to address that when the time comes. What they're talking about right now is, in addition to all your lifeguards, which have always been a challenge for us to hire and schedule, that you need a full second crew to stand around the pool and make sure people are socially distancing themselves from each other. So, so I'm hopeful about the pool, but again, it could be something that's really, really difficult to pull off. We got a question today about our community garden. So we will be opening our community gardens as normal. We're about half full. So if anybody would like to pick up gardening, or if you participated in the past and you didn't think it was going to be open, please call. We have lots available. So we'll be preparing that in the next couple weeks. We coordinated with a couple of long-term gardeners about the timing to get the soil ready for them. So that will be happening this year. So community gardens will be open. I got an email tonight regarding our senior center. Right now, there's no direction from the governor's office that we can open our senior center. I would love to. I know people are missing each other. They're missing the activities that they participated in. They're missing Laura, who we all miss, and her excitement and how she deals with the seniors. But at this point, we're just not allowed to open it yet. So trust me, as soon as we get the green light to do that, our seniors will be back at our senior center. Ball fields. Our ball fields remain open in terms of, if you want to go out with your kids, your family, and throw the ball around. We ask that no large groups gather. There's no formal or organized play. You know, that's one of the big things that other communities have tried to focus on. I've driven by the ball fields a lot, and you know, I'll see 2 or 3 kids out there taking batting practice. We're not gonna run them off. They seem to be well spaced. You know, one at home plate, one at pitcher mound, and one out in the outfield. So I don't want to completely cut off outdoor activities. So those will stay operating the same. Rock the Park, our concerts. So we've been in communication with all of our sponsors as well as the bands, and it's really up in the air. It's more than likely a majority of our concerts could get canceled. If we end up having the opportunity to put together a concert, we will probably try to do that. I think it would be great for the community if we pull through this thing in later summer and we put a concert together. Don't know what that concert will look like in terms of how we keep it safe, but again, that's kind of where we're at right now. I know a lot of the bigger communities have canceled concerts altogether for the summer. So I'm hopeful. I know one thing that was discussed also was fireworks today on my conference call, and a lot of municipalities are canceling fireworks. We don't do a 4th of July fireworks. Ours comes Twins Day. That kind of leads me into Twins Day. I've still been in communication with the Twins Day committee. As of now, they're hopeful that Twins Day can go forward. I'm not as optimistic, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a huge gathering of people that I don't know by the first week in August will be allowed across, nationally as well as in Ohio. So we'll just keep watching that. The fitness center, I got a couple of calls today. The fitness center, again, is something that there is no order that will allow us to open that up. We have been meeting and preparing, and there are things that we can do when we are allowed to open. We'll probably be moving a lot of cardio equipment out to the basketball floors to prevent basketball, and also to socially distance people as they're exercising. By doing that, we can spread out different equipment within the weight room. We're purchasing a lot of individual disinfectant bottles that could be assigned to people as they walk in with their own rag, so that we're not all sharing bottles and rags and those things. So we're looking at a lot of different options on sanitation and different things that we can do as it relates to opening that fitness center. Then lastly, I want to provide some kind of outdoor activity for people. So today I met with our service department and with our Parks and Rec director to look at, we have 2 tennis courts up behind the community building up behind the pool. And then we also have the pickleball courts. And so we are going to open those with some restrictions. So we'll be making some signs and opening those up on May 1st. The tennis courts will be, a maximum of 8 people on that court, with no more than 10 waiting to play. So no one is allowed on the court unless they're a player. The pickleball courts, we have removed 3 nets, and there will only be 3 courts available. Again, only players are going to be allowed in the fenced-in court area, and no more than 10 waiting. So hopefully those that are going to participate in that will help police themselves and the people around them so that they don't ruin an outdoor activity while we're still in this shutdown period with the state. So I think I've covered about everything that I had questions on. And I know this is a little out of context, but is there anything else that council has come up that you'd like me to address? I just talked a lot, so hopefully I covered everything. I do apologize.
I think Mr. Fury had something.
Okay.
Mayor, are you also opening the tennis court that's, if you went down Ashdale and there's a single tennis court in the park, will that also be open?
Yeah, I don't know how much time, I guess, the city spends monitoring that court, or I assume it's closed up also. But yeah, I don't see an issue with that being open. It's a single court that doesn't get a lot of play, so we'll probably open it.
Thank you.
And then I know a lot of residents have, of course, like I mentioned, enjoyed our golf course. So hopefully they're watching this or picking up on some of the messages about us opening on Friday. But please, if golf is going on, please avoid walking the course, because it is dangerous, and we just want to keep everyone safe. And then also, I did get a chance to witness the parade of our seniors, and I know a lot of the kids as they went by, and I'd have to guess that there was 100 to 150 cars that went by my house. So it was exciting to see them get out and blow off a little steam and get recognized in the community. So hopefully, as we move through the summer, there's more things that can get planned both by the school district And then if the city is able, I'd love to be able to do something for our graduating seniors.
Mr. Scafidi, did you have something?
Yeah, Mayor, you mentioned earlier, you started to mention something about City Hall and what's going on in the building there. Can you, I don't know if you finished that, but maybe you want to tell
Okay.
residents as well.
Sure. So as we look forward to some of the operational requirements regarding the wearing of masks, sanitizing, all the stuff that involves being open now, we had a meeting today, and so we're discussing how that will occur at City Hall, because we've got a limited group right now that are used to working together. There's not the real presence of masks. We've all tried to keep our distance from each other. However, there are still meetings going on and different things, so we'll be changing a lot of that policy. We do take temperatures of every single employee at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. We do keep a log. We will be doing that for any visitors. So I know we've prohibited visitors in the past. Through this, we'll probably start allowing appointment-only visitors, but we will be checking them. We'll be requiring them to wear masks when they're in the buildings and meeting with city employees. But those are just some of the things that we're looking at. A lot of our operations have kind of been already operating under certain restrictions, and so with this, we're going to be, implementing a few additional things just to make sure we're keeping everybody safe.
So when a resident does come in by appointment to meet with somebody, will they both be wearing a mask, whoever they're meeting with and the resident?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll require that. We drafted signs today that will go on all the doors coming into City Hall that discusses the requirement to wear a mask. We're hopeful that people will bring their own mask. If not, we will probably have some available, but we don't want to make a habit of that because they're expensive, they're hard to come by, and so hopefully our community just has a mask with them at all times from this point on. I know I got several in every car and on my desk, and so hopefully that becomes a habit.
Okay.
I have a question.
Ms. McFerrin?
So the governor today said that they were not mandating masks, that it was a choice, and they didn't feel that they could mandate it. So how are we able to mandate it? Just a question.
We can, any business can make a more restrictive policy than what the governor is allowing, and so we're choosing to do that at City Hall. And so I know he was focusing on the retail side, and that didn't change. I don't believe that changed the employee and businesses as it relates to manufacturing, distribution, and other things. So it's my understanding was that it mainly related to the retail side of everything, but it's something that I think is important that we're going to keep in place.
He did strongly suggest it, though, even though he took the mandate away. They both strongly suggested it, all three of them, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So that ends my report. We just have, again, we have department heads emailing out reports to you. So you probably have received several of them already. I'll double check my email to make sure that you get all of them by tomorrow. But we do have Ms. Bucci-Gross with us, so I know she's going to share just briefly.
Mr. Fury, did you have a question first? I saw you have your hand.
I was going to ask the mayor if he was aware of the school's tennis courts that are adjacent to the outdoor pool were going to be unlocked.
Yeah, so we communicated with them today, and as of right now, I mean, I think there's a desire to get those open. However, I think they're governed a lot more by the Ohio High School Association, and so there's I believe still a mandate in place to keep the field and those locked. So, but I think there is a desire for those to get those open. I spoke with, again, I was on the phone call with probably 15 mayors today, and all of them had their courts open. It's something that they've remained open. I know, a couple of communities around us have closed them, but I think a majority of municipalities have kept tennis courts open. So hopefully it's something that we can keep safe and give the residents a different option for entertainment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So in finance, we are still monitoring the revenue impact. One of the things I just want to make sure that council understands is that it's going to take some time to really see how COVID-19 affects us financially. Reason being is one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle is income tax. The money that we're receiving from income tax as far as withholding goes is really from hours that people worked back in February and March. That money gets withheld from the paychecks they receive in the month of March. The employer pays that into RETA in the month of April, and then we get that money into the city in the month of May. So it's going to be a while until that catches up and we really see the impact on that income tax revenue line. So that's just something to keep in mind, is it's going to take some time. As far as that goes, though, we're looking at it every day. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can certainly contact us. But we just don't know until we know, unfortunately. But Larry is keeping in contact with the business community, and we appreciate that. Other than that, as far as like COVID-19 expenses goes, we are tracking all of that in hopes of reimbursement, whether it's through the federal government or the state. And I know a lot of the local organizations are working very closely to get us access to those funds. So we're just going to keep monitoring that and tracking everything in the hopes of getting the reimbursement funding when it becomes available. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. There is a lot of lobbying going on. From day one, Sarah put into place every single PO, every purchase. If it has anything to do with COVID-19, it gets flagged. So we'll be positioned for reimbursement should it be allowed, and if there's a source of reimbursement that's provided. So that was another topic that we discussed today. Some municipalities have not been that proactive, so I'm glad we are, because we've positioned ourselves for reimbursement should the money become available.
And I will say we did receive some funding because we provide EMS services through the fire department. So we did receive that funding. It was a little over $14,500, and that will go directly towards COVID-19 related supplies that the fire department needed. So we did get that funding in, and that will help. We just don't know how far it will go because we don't know how long this will last.
And that's all we have this evening.
Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda then is legislation. We've got 4 items this evening. First up is Ordinance 39, 2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into amendments to a contract with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association Patrol Unit and declaring an emergency.
2020 on its 3rd and final reading and declared an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. This is a renewal to the contract of the OPBA. It is retro to January 1st, 2020, which is the reason for the emergency. It is a 3-year contract, 2.5% each year of the 3 years. Again, I will give everybody an opportunity to have any questions or comments. Ms. McFerrin?
I have no questions or comments.
Mrs. Stauffer?
No questions or comments.
Mrs. Walker?
No questions or comments.
Mr. Fury?
Nothing for me this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Scafidi?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Barr?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
The only thing I'd like to add is, again, I'd like to thank the association for their patience and working through this agreement, working with Mr. Maestros. Again, this is a fair agreement. The 2.5s, which, in our current situation, I think is fair. I mean, we have the rest of the city our non-bargaining and several of our bargaining units that are receiving 2.5 for this year. This is retro to beginning of 2020. So again, I think it's considering those are essential workers that are out on the front lines. This is a fair contract for them. It's something that we need to pass tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Maestros?
Thank you. I'd agree with everything the mayor just said, and just thank Matt Pfeiffer, Jeff Hayes, Jim Swope. Those were the three Twinsburg patrolmen that negotiated on the patrolmen's behalf. And also just for the residents out there, it might seem odd that we are approving a contract with 3 years of raises now, but we started negotiating this contract in December. And it just, the timing of it took some time, and then COVID hit. So that's why, I mean, it certainly wouldn't be fair for us from a negotiating standpoint to go back and say, well, now that we know what we know, we're going to change this. I think they were fair with us, we were fair with them, and that's why I would recommend this too. And thank both Sarah Collette and Chief Noga for their great help in getting this done.
Thank you. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 39-2020 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any further discussion from anyone? Raise your hand. No? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 39-2020 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Next up is ordinance 40-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association Sergeant Unit and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 40-2020 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second, sir.
Mr. Barr seconds. The reason for the emergency, again, similar to ordinance 39-2020, this is retroactive to January 1st, 2020, and we want to get these guys paid as quickly as we can. Again, this is a similar contract. This is a 3-year contract for this sergeant's unit. Comments, questions? Ms. McFerrin. You're on mute.
I have none. I just want to thank everyone that worked on getting these two contracts together. Thank you.
Mrs. Stoffer?
I have none.
Mrs. Walker?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Fury?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Scafidi?
Nothing here either. Thank you.
Mr. Barr?
Nothing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Nothing else for me.
Mr. Maestros?
Just want to thank Sergeants Brian Donato and Tom Austin on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 40-2020 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any further discussion? Just raise your hand. All right, seeing none, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 40-2020 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Next up is resolution 41-2020.
A resolution acknowledging council's receipt and review of the monthly financial statements submitted by the Finance Department for January, February, and March 2020.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 41-2020. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. This is a standard accounting resolution that we do regularly. Again, it just says that council has received and reviewed the monthly financial statements. Comments or discussion? Ms. McFerrin?
I have none.
Mrs. Stoffer?
I have none.
Mrs. Walker?
I have none.
Mr. Fury?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Scafidi?
None, thank you.
Mr. Barr?
Nothing for me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Maestros?
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Buccigross? No? Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Resolution 41, 2020 passes 7-0. Finally, this evening, we have Ordinance 42, 2020.
An ordinance amending section 131.04 of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg regarding division of fire organization.
And that is the first reading of Ordinance 42, 2020. Next up on our agenda is unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Ms. McFerrin.
Yeah, I was asked to bring up that if anyone's able to give blood, that there is an ongoing need even during this COVID-19. I actually did do it on Friday, and they have excellent precautions in place to keep everyone safe. I want to thank the 9 attendees that are joining us tonight. And I appreciate everyone staying home and their efforts to do their part for COVID-19. And here's our little card for Mr. Fury. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Joanne. Hey, Joanne, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I would give blood, but I'm not sure where to go or when to go.
So you can actually go on the Red Cross website and put in your zip code, and they'll tell you where the next one is. There was one, I guess, today or yesterday. So they're ongoing and they're all over.
Thank you.
And I'll be happy to look for you and give you some ideas.
I'll be okay.
All right.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
I just would like to thank everybody as well, the people who worked hard on those contracts. So thank you very much. I know Mayor David, you guys are working very hard in there. So thank you for everything that you're doing. And to all the residents, thank you. You know, these are trying times. That's all I have.
Mrs. Walker.
Well, I'm not working on my part-time job. So what I've been doing is cleaning out my closet, and I have about 8 to 10 bags for simple recycling. So I gave them a call, and they're going to resume their services on Monday, and I think that's May 4th. So for all of you who have clothes to put in a bag, put it in an orange bag, and they'll pick it up in our area on Tuesday morning. Have it out by 7 a.m. Also, I would like to wish Bill a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you, Daisy.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Fury.
I did find that you can give blood tomorrow, April 29th at the Hilton Garden Inn between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So thank you, Joanne. I didn't think far enough to go to that website.
You're welcome.
Other than that, I have nothing more to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you. I just have one comment. With everybody out and about and people home and we have more people walking through our neighborhoods. I know there's been a little issue here in the preserves with, if at all possible, if people could, when they park in their driveways, if they could park where they don't block the sidewalks, that would be very much appreciated. I see everybody kind of shaking their heads, so I'm assuming it's going on in all the wards throughout the city. So, if you could park where it doesn't block the sidewalk. You've got many strollers being pushed out there and children walking around their bikes with their parents. And it sure would make it a lot simpler if they didn't have to go into the grass or sometimes maybe even into the street to get around these cars. So again, if at all possible, leave the sidewalks open. And last thing, I'd like to wish Bill happy birthday, Bill. I'm sorry I can't shower you with cupcakes or donuts, but I'll catch up with you. This is all
It's
over.
all right, Sam. We're gonna burn a Honduran cigar in about 10 minutes, so you'll be fine.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to again wish everybody my best. I know this is a difficult, unprecedented time. It seems like we're all making it through. It's great to see people in the neighborhood walking and out and about, riding bikes, and faces that I haven't seen even after living here for years. So it's been wonderful when the weather cooperates. Just seeing everybody really enjoying our outdoor spaces. Additionally, I'd like to give a big congratulations to Twinsburg Talk, the Facebook page. They were featured on Channel 5 News for a story. On Friday nights, they've been providing community activities via Zoom and virtual meetings like this. Everything from pandemic court to Wheel of Fortune. They do invite participants to get involved from the community, and it's been something fun. I think participation is limited to about 100 people per the Zoom license, but really great to see them trying to make the most of the situation, and also to see them get some recognition on Channel 5 News. That's all I have this evening. Everybody stay healthy and be well. And again, Mr. Fury, happy birthday. Hope we can celebrate next year, not in quarantine.
Mrs.
Thank
Stoffer,
you.
you had something else?
I did. Well, I wanted to wish Bill happy birthday also.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Maureen.
Bill. And Ted, I did have a question. The changes going on. Daisy had mentioned that the Simply Recycling's picking back up. Have they talked about any changes to our trash pickup service? I know that's been my.
Yeah,
I actually saw a mattress in a garbage can today. A full mattress in a garbage can today.
I know. I saw someone actually fit an old dishwasher in the garbage can.
We have one. An old dishwasher didn't fit.
Well, it may fit, but so trash day. So if the residents don't know this, all of the calls that come to City Hall come to my voicemail, my email. So I've been forwarding the ones that relate to building department or somewhere else, but most of the people I've been calling back. And come trash time, usually Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday, I get a lot of messages regarding trash. There's still people realizing, discovering that we're only picking up what's in the cans. Our instructions from Waste Management was that the people that didn't have cans, they were aware of, and they would pick it up. However, they're still driving past some of those. We've been trying to help those residents as much as we can. Currently, there's no change in those operations. I did talk to a resident today who wanted to know if there was a place to take trash bags. So grass is starting to grow. If people wait 3 or 4 days, then grass becomes really long, and this person had 6 bags of grass. So we're trying to work through that. I've been fighting through not bagging mine just for that reason alone. And I know a lot of other residents have also, but right now there's no current change in the operations. I think a lot of the residents are getting used to it, but there was rumors that it was starting to become lifted in other neighborhoods. So I know I'll probably follow up by the end of the week with Waste Management to see how long they plan on this being in place.
Because that wasn't a directive. That was just a directive from Waste Management, right? That wasn't a Governor DeWine saying this was just for their. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that was from Waste Management.
Okay, all right. And then I had one other thing I just wanted to talk about. Was I still am very concerned about our senior citizens who are alone during this, and I know Laura, after talking to you guys, Laura's been reaching out, and I just wanted to acknowledge her, and then I'm very grateful for that. And like I said, I hope that they're being taken care of, and if there's anything that we could do as a city for them, I know we've been trying to do our part, but just like to keep that in the front of everyone's mind.
Yeah, I know that Laura's been in contact. We have a great. I spend a lot of time with our seniors, so there's a very strong network of seniors that are part of our senior center that really do a good job of watching out for each other. I've talked to members of the board. They're anxious to get the senior center back open, but I think the message is out there if they need help. I know my family has reached out to Derek, potentially to just start making phone calls to seniors just to check on them. So if that's possible without violating any privacy issue, we're going to try to start doing that. So I share your same sentiment. I think that's a very important part of Twinsburg and demographics that are high risk, and also, and a lot of them are living alone. So we'll do everything we can to make sure we stay in contact with them.
Thank you. That's all.
Just want to thank Scott Barr. He's been checking on his senior. I appreciate you, Scott. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
And for me, again, I just want to pass along my well wishes. Want to pass along happy birthday to Mr. Fury. I would also like to thank Keith in the building department, Amy in the engineering department, Chris in the, these folks they're still working. They're still providing city services, and I really do appreciate it, and I know the residents do as well. Mr. Mayor.
I think just for me, as much as I enjoy these Zoom meetings, I know Mr. Barr cruised by my house last night and we were able to chat from a distance, but I just want to say even though it's limited times during the week and we see each other every 2 weeks, I do miss seeing you guys, and I can't wait till I know technology is great, but I'm ready to be in person, to hold these meetings and start seeing a lot of people around the community again. I think all of us probably thrive on our relationships in town, and the role that we play as public servants, and it kind of gets taken away a little bit when we can't physically be in contact with with our residents. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also I think just thanking the residents. They've done a lot. I mean, I think Twinsburg has done a great job sheltering in place. You see a lot of masks out there. You see a lot of the different directives, people following them. And it makes a difference. It really does. And sometimes it's hard to see, but we are making an impact in Ohio. I think things are getting better. I know, we're starting to see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully we keep doing what we need to, and we get there sooner than later. But other than that, just have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Maestros?
I just want to say happy birthday to Mr. Fury, and thank council. Thank council for supporting our little band of people that we have at City Hall. We do appreciate it. We get to talk to you guys by phone, but like the mayor said, we do miss seeing you in person. But thanks for your support.
Mrs. Buccigross?
Yeah, happy birthday, Mr. Fury. I did sing earlier today, so I did my part.
Sarah, you said you were going to sing on camera. Come on, Sarah. Just do it.
Everybody goes with me.
It's an easy song. Just get it out, Sarah. It's all on you.
We'll wash our hands while you're doing it.
Come on, Sarah.
20
Go ahead.
seconds.
You got it, Sarah.
No way. I do want to thank the community, the businesses and the residents in Twinsburg. They have donated food and masks and hand sanitizer and gowns and all kinds of things to our safety services and to other departments in the city. So I really appreciate that. I don't think you find that in every community. So thank you very much to the residents and to our local businesses. It is truly appreciated. And happy birthday. That's all you get.
I'll take it. Thanks, Sarah.
No problem. Good night.
All right, Mrs. Collins?
Just wanted to wish Bill a happy birthday.
Thanks.
Thank you. And one more from Mrs. Stauffer.
I'm sorry, I don't usually talk, but I did forget to mention that I did go to a Kent State advisory meeting, and one of the new offerings that I wanted to share, because I just received this today, is that the Geauga campus and the Twinsburg campus is adding a respiratory therapy technology degree. that's going to be offered right here in the community in Twinsburg. So while we are going through all this, the university Kent State is still they're doing their best to provide education. So I think the residents take a look at it. They're still doing their part. So just wanted to make sure I got that out to you. And that's really all I have for now.
All right. Thank you very much. We have, through the power of technology, we have no absent members this evening. So as of 8:26 p.m., we are adjourned. Have a good evening, Twinsburg.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
Be well, Twinsburg.
Stay well.
Good night.